Genetics Preview. In our previous unit, cells, we looked at the cell and all the parts of the cell, and we touched on chromosomes and DNA. And this unit, we're going to go into much more depth with that. From this picture, you can see that inside the nucleus, we have these things called chromosomes, which look like letter X's. When you see it in this stage, it's actually one chromosome connected to its copy, which we touched on last unit with the process of mitosis. This unit we're going to kind of expand on that. If you take a chromosome and unwind it, you've got this strand of DNA, this twisted ladder or double helix shape. And we'll also be talking about things called genes, which are just specific sections of DNA that code for traits. And you get these genes and these DNA from your parents. And since you get one gene from each parent for something let's say eye color, you can't show both, so your body will be told by the DNA which one to display, or sometimes it's a combination of these. So genetics, we're going to start off with a simple patterns of inheritance, but understand that real genetics gets very, very complex. Here we'll look at what's called a pedigree. And in this case, this is just showing your direct ancestors. So, for instance, if this is you, the squares above you represent males and the circles represent females. So if we go back generations, okay, any person in this picture could have, in theory, given genes to you. So let's do a question or two about this picture. Look at this T-chart. The idea is that on the left-hand side are genetic traits, and on the right side we would place environmental, meaning that these are things that you inherit, and these are things that happen to you during your lifetime as a result of something in your environment. So you don't inherit them. Let's see how well you do with some of these. Here's our completed T-chart. The 5 things on the left: widow's peak, which is the shape of the hairline; your fingerprints; attached earlobes, meaning that your earlobes are either attached or loose along the side of your head; your gender, whether you're male or female; and your blood groups, like A positive, B negative, etc. On this side, these are environmental traits: scars, if you have an accent, and the length of your hair, which of course could be cut. A lot of genetics boils down to something called probability. So there is math involved with this unit. Pretty simple math, but probability is the mathematical chance of something occurring. And if we look at particular traits, we will often use something called a Punnett square. And at first glance, it's very confusing, but really it's pretty simple. And we'll do a bunch of problems with using this tool, this Punnett square, to predict possible combinations of particular genes in the offspring. So, one of the most classic examples that we talk about in humans is eye color, and you often see genetics problems that talk about brown eyes being dominant to blue eyes. But as you're aware, there's lots of different shades of eye color. And to give you an example of how complex genetics gets, this slide illustrates the different ways that you can inherit very light colored eyes the whole way down to very dark colored eyes. It's one example. Also, we can talk about a situation called heterochromia, where you can actually have one eye of one color and a second eye of a different color. Pretty rare. So genetics is a pretty interesting unit, and we hope you enjoy it.